Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending this virtual session during the Charleston Conference. My name is Lydia Uziel. I'm the Associate University Librarian for Research Resources and Scholarly Communication at the University of California, Santa Barbara. The theme of our session is a community-led future for open access books. How can new open access infrastructures enable libraries to support scaling small in scholarly publishing? We are very excited to discuss this topic with you today. Our session will provide an in-depth look at a series of innovative projects that create a new path towards an open and sustainable monograph future and that are supported and led by a community of nonprofit publishers, infrastructure providers, and also research libraries. The goal of these initiatives is to develop a new open access book publishing ecosystem that can counter the existing model, which is too often inherently elitist and exclusionary when it comes to publishing, distributions, and readership of monographs, ecosystem that is reliant on commercially owned infrastructure and that is often compromised by unsustainable publishing and funding models. We will discuss today two important projects, the Open Book Future projects and the Open Book Collective, both built on the successes of the COPIM project. We will also discuss Thought Open Metadata project, which similarly to the Open Book Collective is an output of COPIM. These efforts are built on the principle of scaling small, which involves creating an environment in which a large number of non-profit publishers of whatever size with a variety of business models can sustainably transition to open access at manageable cost through a collaborative effort, shared services, and best practices. By pioneering new community-owned open access business models, including new funding and publishing models, as well as new open infrastructures that are developed, governed by, and developed for the benefit of the community they serve, these projects chart a new path towards an open and sustainable monograph future. And let me now introduce our speakers. In my role as the chair of the boards of stewards of the Open Book Collective, and also somebody who was involved in the COPIM project, I will start this panel with a very brief overview of the Open Book Collective, which is a nonprofit organization working to deliver new funding streams to smaller and scholar-led open access book publishers. Our second presenter, Livy Snyder, who is an outreach associate for the Open Book Collective and also the Associate Director of Community and Library Outreach at Punctum Books. Livy will discuss the Open Book Future project, which expand and accelerate approaches for scaling community-led open access book publishing solutions developed in the preceding COPIM project. Our third presenter, Toby Steiner, who is product manager and also CEO of Thought Open Metadata. Toby will discuss why open infrastructure is absolutely necessary to advance the open access movement, and he will also present the Thought Open Metadata project, including publishers' workflow and approaches to dissemination and management of open metadata. And finally, our fourth presenter, David Park, who is director of Media Studies.Press and also professor of communication at Lake Forest College. David will present a perspective of a small scholar-led open access book publisher and will discuss with us what it means to scale small, an open access program by a small press. And we will obviously have time at the end for questions and also discussion on the wider impact of these initiatives on the library and scholarly community, and also to discuss some other questions. So let me start now with introducing Open Book Collective. Open Book Collective was established in May 2022 as a collective of open access publishers, infrastructure providers, libraries, and other nonprofit organizations. It is a member-led, value-based organization established in the UK as a non-for-profit The project mission is to create a new open access book publishing ecosystem that is equitable, community governed, and reliant on sustainable business models and community-owned infrastructure. And in a nutshell, our goal is to basically create new revenue streams and new business models for small to medium-sized open book publishers, and especially ones that eliminates the need for author-facing book processing charges. We also want to make it easier for libraries to invest in open access membership schemes via one single platform that aggregates offers from various sources. The community building is a top priority for us. We want to build a new community of open access publishers, service providers, academic libraries, all devoted to open access book publishing. We are underpinned by ethos of open infrastructure. We want to build a vibrant and more durable, sustainable open access infrastructures for open access books, mostly because open content without open infrastructures is a lost cause. As I said, OBC is not for profit. We maintain 100% of transparency in all aspects of the OBC's management and finances. We are also community-led and community-governed. We want to amplify bibliodiverse approaches to open access book publishing, and we seek strategic partnerships with publishers, university and infrastructure providers beyond Anglophone settings, particularly in diverse national and linguistic contexts, including in Africa, Australasia, and also in Latin America. At the heart of the OBC work is a community-owned online platform, which is designed to support new relationships between libraries and open access book publishers. For open access book publishers and infrastructure providers, the OBC platform provides a venue to promote their open access programs and also to manage the funding they receive from supporting libraries and other knowledge providers. And for libraries, who are interested in supporting open access book initiatives, the platform provides a centralized discovery of various open access membership programs and also related offers from individual publishers. Through the platform, academic and research libraries can find, assess, bundle, and commit to financially support open access membership package and other initiatives offered by our collective. The OBC empowers libraries, publishers, and also infrastructure providers to collaborate on developing consortial funding models for open access book that are basically equitable for publishers and also affordable for libraries. The OBC business model relies on relatively small annual contributions from a network of institutions, enabling a highly cost-effective funding method for open access book publishers and also open access service providers. And you can, I don't have time to go into the details, but you can explore our platform and see more details associated to it. In practice, there are several benefits for libraries supporting the OBC. The first is obviously the aggregation and discovery platform. Our web platform features a shared catalog, including all the books that are featured from different presses in our collective, including individual publishers, as well as membership packages for groups of publishers and also infrastructure providers. When you go to our web platform, you can see richly detailed information for each member initiative. You can see what their mission and values are. You can see their business model. You can see the information about their cost of production, cost of output, the number of books per year, tools under development, their progress, and more information. We also conduct due diligence on each press. For presses and infrastructure providers, we have a membership committee that evaluates all initiatives and offerings. There are criteria for joining the OBC to ensure that peer review practices, pricing models, governance structures are all performed in accordance with our criteria and also following our values. Finally, the workflow. Our platform streamlined the subscription process rather than managing dozens of subscriptions with individual presses or individual publishers, the OBC provide a single place to manage them all via one single organization. There is an important economy of scale for libraries by consolidating the licensing, consolidating the invoicing, and including support that we have from third-party organizations such as Lyrasis for processing payments. And finally, to conclude, the ethos of collaboration permeates the entire governance of the OBC. Libraries supporting the OBC financially, together with publishers and also infrastructure providers who participate in the collective, are committed to working together across the landscape of the Open Knowledge Commons to enable a more sustainable future for open access monographs. The OBC has adopted an association organizational model that is membership shape, community-led, democratically representative, equitable, and also fully transparent. The existing structure empowers all members if they want to. Obviously, they don't have to. It's a choice. Empower them to directly participate in the OBC governance and also related decision-making. Unlike many other organizational models where appointed trustees are often not elected from the membership. So the OBC trustees serve as stewards, as they are partially selected from the members of the OBC, and they represent the main stakeholders group called caucuses. As a result, the OBC organization and its governance are made up of 3 bodies, including the General Assembly of Custodians, the Boards of Stewards, and the Membership Committee. The governance of the OBC has been designed to empower the growing community of open access publishers, libraries, and research institutions, including open access experts who have deep knowledge of scholarly communication and open access to support and lead non-commercial open access publishing initiatives. And the OBC is also a part of a larger holistic vision for the open access book ecosystem that is financially supported by Arcadia Fund and also by the Research England Development Fund, who have together committed up to $7 million to continue the work of the COPIM project, including financial support for the OBC Open Book Collective and also the Open Book Future project. And I will now pass on to Livy, who will present the Open Book Future project. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Livy. I am a Library Outreach Associate at the Open Book Collective. Thank you so much, Lydia, for the wonderful introduction and the overview of the OBC. I'll start off by saying that I presented at the Charleston Conference last year with the director of Quantum Books and co-developer of the OBC, Eileen Friedenberg-Joy, and we talked about the Open Book Collective pre-launch. So I'm very happy to be back here today to follow up and report on our progress and the milestones that we've been able to accomplish in a year, as well as discuss some of our future goals. We officially launched the OBC platform last December and started outreach in the spring. We currently have 2 infrastructure providers and 5 publisher members, with 2 more being onboarded as we speak. We also have over 30 library supporters, to who we are extremely grateful. Thank you so much for your support. And we've increased our team by 1. Kevin Sanders has now joined the Open Book Collective as an open access engagement lead. And this is just the start. We're happy to announce that the work of the OBC is expanding with the Open Book Futures project. OBF builds on the work of the COPIM project, which established the open community-led solutions required to address the barriers to the flourishing of OA books. OBF is led by Lancaster University and funded by Research England and the Arcadia Fund. The aim is to expand the key infrastructures created by COPIM to achieve significant progress in how community-owned OA book publishing is delivered. I'm going to summarize the OBF goals, and which aim to radically transform OA book publishing. So the OBF will enhance the impact and sustainability of the approaches and infrastructures developed within COPIM. It will bridge the infrastructure gap by expanding the scope of COPIM-derived infrastructures. It will incubate and financially support new OA initiatives that are community-led and value-driven, support the wider OA publishing ecosystem by delivering a major new knowledge base, foster bibliodiversity and engaging more geographically distributed stakeholders, supporting publishing in diverse and non-Anglophone contexts, and expanding experimental publishing pilots. Lastly, it will support emerging OA books policy guidance. So we're extremely grateful for the OBF project because it will accelerate the impact of the OBC. With the OBF project, the Open Book Collective will be able to further develop functionality extensions within our OBC platform. This includes improving the CRMs, backend, and the multilingual interface. So you'll be able to go onto the site and there will be multiple languages available. We also have an information hub. The OBC information hub will also be improved for publishers and service providers. It will have multiple resources for stakeholders. It will consolidate research. It will promote business models, best practice, showcase work on metadata, experimental publishing, and archiving. We also have an OBC toolkit. The toolkit is currently being peer-reviewed, but we will expand it with the help of the grant. The toolkit allows anyone to learn how to run a press, including setting up a business model and management. It covers how to manage workflows, how to manage metadata and analytics, how to disseminate and aggregate OA content and data, how to create ebook preservation protocols, how to meet international open data standards, and the like. In 2024, we will also start accepting submissions for the OBC's Collective Development Fund, which will dispense mini grants to smaller startup initiatives who need help improving and expanding their operations, including learning and implementing best practices and best standards for OA content and tools. The OBC will also host a series of workshops that aim not just to strengthen existing networks in the UK and North America, but also to engage further with publishers, universities, and infrastructure providers in a diverse network, including Africa, Australasia, continental Europe, and Latin America. Our first workshop is actually coming up. It's called Towards Sustainable Open Access Book Publishing in the African Context. It will be hosted at the University of Cape Town in early February. The event is conceptualized to confront barriers and needs related to OA book publishers and initiatives across the African continent. It will also provide a space for skills development, sharing experiences, expertise, and for learning about new developments in the support and funding of OA publishing. OBC will run until the 30th of April, 2026. It will increase the OBC's and the larger COPIM community's impact and ensure that a wide range of voices have the opportunity to shape the future of open access book publishing. This is just a start to learn about what we're doing with OBF. It's a short summary. I encourage you to read more, and here is a quick bibliography in case you'd like to read up. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm going to pass it along to Toby, who will talk about and introduce Tote.
Hi, my name is Toby Steiner, and I'm the product manager and COO here at Tote Open Metadata, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to present our work in today's context. Let me maybe first start with a few sentences around why we, as part of the COPIM community, felt it was necessary to come up with a new system for managing metadata. More fundamentally, within the COPIM community, we have over the years been guided by a very central and shared understanding that full open access without any restrictions can only work when we also have open infrastructure. We believe that open infrastructure should follow a certain set of community-led values, which we have, for our specific context in COPIM, subsumed under the philosophy of scaling small. Scaling small here represents a set of values that, in a nutshell, prioritize collaboration and mutual sharing of knowledge and resources over competition and commercial gain. With COPIM, we have set out to create and maintain open publishing infrastructures that are inalienably owned by the community and that support and bring together knowledge communities through the processes of open access book publishing in all its shapes and forms. One particular focus of that occupation over the past 4 years has been substantial research and development work looking into the particularities that small and scholar-led publishers face when it comes to disseminating their books. This quickly came to include aspects of metadata management and archiving, aspects that we've found are closely linked. The initial idea for TOTH emerged out of the shared experience of a number of scholar-led presses who, after facing the significant challenges of starting up their publishing programs, came to realize that their next major challenge was to get their books into the scholarly record and more widely discoverable. The established supply chain for scholarly books is difficult to access for new publishers and not designed to handle open access books. Most small or new publishers lack access to the specialized title management systems used by bigger publishers, and even those expensive systems are not oriented to open access books. Bigger publishers are also better able to navigate the supply chain because they have dedicated staff, such as metadata specialists and marketing managers, who focus entirely on distribution. Adding to the above, the leaky pipeline in book dissemination means that metadata running through the different workflows and platforms is being truncated and stripped of valuable information by a number of intermediaries that require adherence to their own rigid standards. This in turn leaves data that ideally used to be high quality at the point of departure, i.e. the publisher's desk, arriving in a much poorer state at the library customer's end and in the library catalog. Another major issue that we are trying to help tackle with our work is that of archiving. As a recent study has shown, smaller publishers often lack resources and expertise when it comes to ensuring the long-term archiving of their output. This in turn means that this group of publishers, which publishes a substantial amount of the long tail of scholarly knowledge, are in danger of losing their valuable contributions to the scholarly record over time. Taking on those challenges, TOTH hopes to level the playing field between large and smaller publishers by alleviating some of the difficulties faced by those smaller presses. To facilitate this, we have designed TOTH as a metadata creation management and dissemination platform that is specifically tailored to tackle the problems of getting open access works into the book supply chain. As an institutional entity, TOTH has been registered as a non-profit community interest company in the UK. TOTH's main goal is to provide publishers with an online platform to gather all of the metadata needed to disseminate books, such as information on titles, authors, publication dates, and the like, as well as metadata specific to digital and open access books, including persistent identifiers for output, links to files, and contributors and their institutional affiliations. TOTH's data model is granular enough that publishers can add metadata on chapters within books. It can be used to store abstracts as well as citations, and it can include information on multiple reader-facing outlets where a book can be found. TOTH enables the wide dissemination of these records by transforming them into a variety of industry standard and distributor-specific metadata formats, and exposing all the records openly under ISO 0 license via open APIs. TOTH eases the substantial burden of submitting records to multiple distributors. With TOTH, publishers need to create a metadata record only once. Close to 20 publishers have now already adopted or are in the midst of adopting TOTH as their metadata manager of choice to create, manage, and distribute their metadata in multiple formats. Using the platform, they are able to directly export metadata that follow platform-specific flavors of ONIX, MARC, JSON, and KVAD, adhering to the requirements of, for example, OAPN, Project Muse, JSTOR, Google Books, and many other platforms. TOTH also enables those publishers to submit books and chapter-level metadata to Crossref for DOI registration and to archive content in university repositories and the Internet Archive via the repository-led TOTH Archiving Network prototype. Book details and an entire catalog can also directly be integrated with third-party applications via TOTH's open APIs. This is currently already being done, for example, by the Open Book Collective, from which you've heard a bit earlier today, by the Scholar Consortium, and by open book publishers, all of whom utilize Toth Open APIs as a trusted and open source of book metadata to create novel content and services. And under the remit of the Open Book Futures project grant, Toth is working with a variety of community-led stakeholders, including Koki, the Public Knowledge Project, and Yellowbook, to enable trusted connections between a number of open systems, such as Open Monograph Press, the Book Meta Hub by Science Open, and Koki's Book Analytics Dashboard. So all in all, Toth reduces the amount of insider knowledge needed to strategically navigate the supply chain for scholarly books. The Toth team is putting in the legwork of making organizational and technical connections with distributors so that small and scholarly publishers don't have to. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. My name's Dave Park. I'm going to be talking to you today about MediaStudies.press, the press I run with Jeff Pooley. The general gist of this is that you've already heard from Toth, you've already heard from the OBC, and it is time to hear from one of the presses affiliated with them. That's us. What we do is publish books. I call this talk From the Ground Up because Toth and OBC are a little bit bigger than us, which is not saying very much. And I'm going to be talking about scaling small here at MediaStudies.press. So MediaStudies.press is a publisher. We launched in 2019, and our publications concern the domain of communication and media studies. We're open access, we're scholar-led, not-for-profit, and we publish in 4 formats: web publications, EPUBs, paperbacks, and PDFs. And crucially for us, whether or not an author can pay for their publication with BPC never has any effect on whether or not we accept their proposals. It's worth at least briefly situating what MediaStudies.press does in the world of media studies publishing. I'm coming fresh off an 18-year hitch as the reviews editor for a big journal in communication, which is no big deal, but it gave me a front row seat to see what was going on in the world of book publishing in media studies. It's a large and growing field of study, and this leads many publishers, especially in journals, also in books, to treat the field as an opportunity for growth. This becomes kind of a growth imperative, pushes publishers towards standardization of manuscripts, and toward what I'm sure all of us have seen, lots of encyclopedias, handbooks, and adoption-ready textbooks, all of which are fine, but they don't quite go with scholar-led way of publishing. So the seeming successes of media studies, I argue, comes with a departure from scholar-led publication. This can be seen across much of academia. You see standardization of scholarly work at odds with bibliodiversity, and a concentration of power and reputational status amongst publishers. In some, book publishing and media studies is being subjected quite powerfully to the idea of taking advantage of economies of scale. Quite simply, MediaStudies.press would not exist without our relationships with Toth and with the OBC, both great organizations. Toth provides, and this has been a real learning curve for me, seeing what Toth does, well, a lot of what Toth does. Toby's already explained it beautifully for us, but from the point of view of a small publisher, they provide top flight metadata and API service. My colleague, Jeff Pooley, he's the director of MediaStudies.press. We know how difficult it would be for us to manage the metadata on our own publications professionally, or to handle API. It's really tough stuff. The OBC, of course, provides the community support in a community-supported press. They bundle our work with other OA presses, and they share funds amongst all of us. Could not operate without them. We're very happy to be part of it. We also, it's worth pointing out, we work with PubPub for content management. PubPub is a product of the Knowledge Futures Group, affiliated with MIT. That works really well. Also, what all these things have in common are horizontal relationships, often referred to as horizontal relationships in the world of OA. Community, a belief in human capital and shared values. It's true mutual reliance and interdependence at work. It is not competition. It is not trying to get big. And we just publish 5 manuscripts a year right now. We are loving it. So we have a version of sustainability that differs from what many other presses go with. Our definition is not like the one that takes existing models for profitable publishing and pulls some open access into that, predicated largely on the acquisition of BPCs. Instead, our version of sustainability is focused on, again, not growing necessarily. And it's focused on putting scholars in charge of their own labor and on freeing ourselves and our authors from book processing charges, which we will accept, but will never make necessary for publication. And this lets us do all kinds of things with scholars who may not have so much access to BPCs. We're big believers in bibliodiversity. We have 4 different book series: History of Media Studies, the Media Manifold series, the Open Reader series, and the Public Domain series here. The emphasis is on casting a very wide net and publishing all kinds of different things. Length and format don't matter much to us. I should say they matter tremendously. We can publish very short things, which we've already done. We can publish very long things. Crucially for us in media studies, we can use multimedia and we can address a very broad publishing scope. The bottom line here is we're part of a publishing community here with OBC, with TOETH, and Knowledge Futures, and we become mutually subtending elements in a community. Our main expense is book production, and the main expense we insist upon is full-scale pay for copy editing. That means a lot to us. We get a very high-quality product where authors have so far been very happy. Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.